Hey everyone, welcome back to Edu Expert, your smart learning hub. On August 9, 2025, the Israel Defense Forces (IDF) carried out a precision airstrike on Khan Younis, southern Gaza, targeting key Hamas positions, resulting in the death of senior Hamas leader Nasser Musa. This operation was conducted in coordination with Israel's intelligence agencies, with the main objective of neutralizing the head of Hamas's military control department, a critical figure in their operations. The airstrike is part of Israel's broader Operation Gideon's Chariots, aimed at dismantling Hamas's military infrastructure and reducing their operational capabilities. The IDF released drone and reconnaissance footage showing the strike's accuracy and speed, clearly highlighting how Israeli fighter jets targeted multiple Hamas facilities in just seconds. The footage demonstrates not only the tactical effectiveness of the operation but also the strategic planning behind Israel's precise targeting. This airstrike signifies a major blow to Hamas's operational capacity, as Nasser Musa oversaw military planning and intelligence operations. His elimination disrupts Hamas's command structure and weakens their ability to coordinate attacks in the region. Beyond its military impact, the operation also underscores Israel's ongoing commitment to using targeted, intelligence-driven strikes to minimize collateral damage while neutralizing high-value targets. It reflects Israel's broader strategy to carefully balance military effectiveness with operational precision in densely populated urban areas. The Khan Younis strike provides a clear example of modern air warfare tactics, showing how speed, precision, and intelligence coordination can achieve strategic goals. It also draws international attention to the ongoing conflict and demonstrates how Israel is managing its military campaigns with calculated precision to achieve objectives without large-scale urban destruction. Khan Younis, located in the southern part of the Gaza Strip, has long been considered a central stronghold for Hamas, the Palestinian militant group that controls the region. The city is not only densely populated but also strategically significant due to its location near Israel's southern border. Over the years, Hamas has fortified Khan Younis with a complex network of tunnels, command centers, and military installations that serve multiple purposes, including storing weapons, coordinating attacks, and housing senior leadership. These facilities have made Khan Younis one of the most heavily defended areas within Gaza, turning it into a critical operational hub for Hamas's military and intelligence activities. Hamas's strength in Khan Younis lies in both its organizational structure and its deeply entrenched presence among the local population. The group maintains a hierarchical command system where military, intelligence, and political wings operate in close coordination. The Military Control Department, led by senior figures such as Nasser Musa before his death, has been responsible for planning tactical operations, monitoring Israeli movements, and overseeing internal security within Hamas-controlled areas. The city's fortifications include sophisticated underground tunnels, which have historically allowed militants to move quickly, evade surveillance, and launch attacks across the border into Israel. These tunnels are also used for storing weapons, smuggling materials, and maintaining communication lines, making them a primary target for Israeli operations. From a strategic standpoint, Khan Younis provides Hamas with multiple tactical advantages. Its proximity to Israel allows rapid deployment of rocket units and small-scale incursions, while its dense urban environment complicates Israeli military operations due to the presence of civilians. This urban complexity has allowed Hamas to develop a layered defense system, combining physical barriers, surveillance, and rapid response units, making Khan Younis a highly resilient and challenging target for any opposing force. The city's geographic location, combined with its fortified infrastructure, has made it a cornerstone of Hamas's operational planning for years, influencing both local and regional conflict dynamics. The humanitarian aspect of Hamas's presence in Khan Younis cannot be overlooked. The population density, which includes tens of thousands of civilians, often intertwines with military installations, creating complex scenarios for both attackers and defenders. This intermingling of civilian and military areas has drawn international attention, as any military operation in the city risks civilian casualties. Hamas has historically used this urban environment to its advantage, establishing military positions within or near civilian areas, complicating the ethical and tactical considerations of Israel's air and ground operations. Israel's military planners have long recognized the dual challenge posed by Khan Younis: it is simultaneously a strategic hub for Hamas in a densely populated urban area that limits the use of heavy conventional force. The IDF has therefore adopted precision strikes, intelligence-led operations, and drone reconnaissance to minimize collateral damage while targeting key Hamas assets. This approach demonstrates the balancing act required to degrade Hamas's operational strength without causing widespread destruction in civilian areas. The recent airstrike that killed Nasser Musa is a clear example of this method, where intelligence pinpointed a high-value target in a way that allowed Israel to achieve a strategic victory with minimal unintended damage. The operational significance of Khan Younis extends beyond immediate military objectives. By disrupting Hamas's command and control in this city, Israel aims to weaken the group's ability to conduct operations elsewhere in Gaza and even across its border. The elimination of senior figures, disruption of tunnel networks, and destruction of weapons storage facilities collectively reduce Hamas's operational flexibility, forcing the group to reallocate resources, reorganize command structures, and adjust tactics in response to heightened Israeli pressure. This domino effect illustrates why Khan Younis is not just another city but a linchpin in the broader conflict. From a U.S. audience perspective, understanding Khan Younis helps contextualize why Israel continues to prioritize precision strikes in urban environments. The city embodies the challenges of modern asymmetrical warfare, where highly organized militant groups embed themselves within civilian populations, creating a complicated environment for military interventions. The international community closely monitors operations in Khan Younis because the outcomes here influence diplomatic negotiations, humanitarian aid decisions, and the perception of Israel's military conduct on the global stage. Furthermore, Khan Younis reflects the resilience of Hamas as a militant organization. Despite repeated Israeli operations over the years, the group has continuously adapted, rebuilding tunnel networks, training new recruits, and maintaining control over strategic areas. This adaptability underscores Hamas's strategic depth, and it explains why cities like Khan Younis remain central to its military planning. By targeting this stronghold, Israel seeks not only to achieve tactical success but also to deliver a broader message regarding its capacity to neutralize high-value threats while maintaining operational precision. In conclusion, Khan Younis represents a combination of tactical advantage, strategic significance, and humanitarian complexity. Hamas's entrenched presence, robust military infrastructure, and operational command make the city a critical hub in Gaza. At the same time, the dense civilian population presents unique challenges that influence how military operations are planned and executed. Understanding the strength of Hamas in Khan Younis, and the city's importance within the larger conflict, provides crucial context for Israel's ongoing operations and highlights why precision, intelligence-led strategies have become the cornerstone of modern military engagements in the region. The recent airstrikes demonstrate Israel's focus on high-value targets, while simultaneously navigating the humanitarian and ethical considerations inherent to urban conflict, offering a clear lens through which international observers can analyze the evolving dynamics of the Gaza conflict. The targeted Israeli airstrikes on Khan Younis have caused significant disruption to Hamas's command structure and operational capabilities. One of the most consequential outcomes of the recent operation was the elimination of Nasser Musa, the head of Hamas's military control department. Musa played a central role in planning and coordinating Hamas's military activities, overseeing intelligence gathering, and directing operations in and around Khan Younis. His death represents a severe blow to the organization's internal hierarchy, weakening the group's ability to execute complex operations and maintain communication across its various units. Hamas's losses extend beyond a single leadership figure. The strikes targeted multiple strategic locations, including weapons storage sites, tunnel entrances, and command centers, which collectively have hindered the group's operational flexibility. The destruction of these facilities interrupts the logistical network Hamas relies on for moving weapons, storing ammunition, and coordinating attacks. This not only affects their immediate tactical capabilities but also forces Hamas to rebuild its infrastructure under heightened Israeli surveillance, stretching its resources and slowing operational planning. The psychological impact of losing high-ranking officials like Nasser Musa cannot be understated. Leadership decapitation strategies aim to reduce morale among fighters and create internal uncertainty about command and control. Reports suggest that lower-level commanders within Hamas are now facing increased pressure to maintain cohesion, while strategic decision-making has become more challenging due to gaps in leadership. Such disruptions may reduce the effectiveness of Hamas's military operations in the short term and force the group to adopt defensive postures rather than proactive attacks. Israel's intelligence and military coordination were key to the success of these strikes. Detailed surveillance, drone reconnaissance, and real-time intelligence enabled the IDF to identify high-value targets accurately while minimizing civilian casualties. The operation's speed and precision demonstrate how Israel leverages advanced technology and intelligence capabilities to conduct surgical strikes, thereby maximizing the impact on Hamas while adhering to international standards of conduct in urban warfare. The loss of critical personnel and infrastructure has broader implications for Hamas's operational strategy. Nasser Musa's death, for instance, affects not only local operations in Khan Younis but also the planning and execution of broader military initiatives across Gaza. With the disruption of command networks, communication lines, and logistical pathways, Hamas may experience delays in launching planned attacks or coordinating responses to Israeli operations elsewhere. This operational handicap enhances Israel's strategic leverage and may limit Hamas's ability to project power beyond its immediate territories. International observers have noted that such targeted strikes, while limited in scale, carry significant symbolic and tactical weight. The elimination of senior leaders signals Israel's commitment to neutralizing threats with precision and reinforces the message that key figures responsible for orchestrating attacks will be held accountable. From a U.S. perspective, understanding these targeted operations helps contextualize Israel's broader counterterrorism strategy and emphasizes the role of intelligence-led warfare in modern conflict scenarios. The humanitarian aspect remains intertwined with these military developments. While the strikes focused on high-value military targets, the densely populated nature of Khan Younis creates inherent challenges. Israel's efforts to minimize collateral damage underscore the complexity of operating in urban environments where militants and civilians are intermingled. For Hamas, this urban landscape has historically provided cover and complicates Israeli operations, but the recent strikes demonstrate that intelligence and precision targeting can overcome such challenges effectively. Furthermore, the disruption caused by these casualties forces Hamas to reconsider its tactical approaches. Rebuilding leadership structures, securing weapon stockpiles, and restoring command and control networks requires time, planning, and resources that are now strained due to the Israeli strikes. This operational pressure may also influence Hamas's decisions regarding future engagements, potentially limiting offensive operations and prompting a shift toward defensive postures. In addition to the immediate tactical consequences, the strikes carry long-term strategic significance. The weakening of Hamas leadership and destruction of key infrastructure may influence negotiations, regional diplomacy, and the perception of Hamas's capability on the international stage. These targeted operations serve to demonstrate Israel's ability to conduct effective counterterrorism measures while navigating the ethical complexities of urban warfare, reinforcing its commitment to precision and minimizing civilian harm. In conclusion, the targeted elimination of senior Hamas figures like Nasser Musa, coupled with the destruction of critical military infrastructure, represents a substantial setback for the organization. These losses affect operational planning, morale, and the capacity to conduct coordinated attacks. Israel's precision-driven approach, supported by intelligence and technology, has maximized the impact on Hamas while minimizing collateral damage, exemplifying modern urban warfare strategies. The disruption of leadership and resources not only hampers Hamas's immediate operational capability but also reshapes its strategic considerations, influencing both local conflict dynamics and broader geopolitical perceptions. For U.S. viewers, these developments provide insight into how targeted military operations can achieve significant tactical and strategic outcomes while adhering to international standards and ethical considerations in modern warfare. The humanitarian situation in Khan Younis has reached a critical point as a result of ongoing military operations. The densely populated city, home to tens of thousands of civilians, has experienced significant disruption in daily life due to airstrikes targeting Hamas infrastructure. Thousands of residents have been displaced from their homes, seeking shelter in crowded temporary facilities, schools, and makeshift shelters, while access to essential resources such as food, clean water, and medical care has become increasingly limited. The urban density of Khan Younis, combined with the presence of underground tunnels and military installations, complicates the delivery of humanitarian aid and makes civilian protection a challenging task for both local authorities and international organizations. International agencies, including the United Nations and Red Cross, have raised urgent appeals for humanitarian assistance in Khan Younis. These organizations emphasize the need for safe corridors to deliver food, medical supplies, and clean water to civilians caught in the crossfire. The conflict has particularly impacted vulnerable populations, including children, the elderly, and families with limited means of mobility. Hospitals and clinics are operating under immense pressure, with medical staff struggling to cope with both the influx of injured civilians and the shortage of critical supplies. The recent airstrikes have strained the already fragile healthcare infrastructure, highlighting the urgent need for international support to prevent a humanitarian catastrophe. Despite the challenges, local communities and humanitarian volunteers have mobilized to provide assistance wherever possible. Temporary shelters have been established in schools, mosques, and community centers, offering safety from ongoing airstrikes. Distribution points for food and water have been set up in accessible locations, although these efforts often face logistical obstacles due to damaged roads and restricted access caused by military operations. Families displaced by the conflict face not only the immediate danger of bombardment but also long-term challenges related to housing, education, and economic stability. The psychological impact on residents, particularly children, is profound, with trauma and fear becoming daily realities for those living amid ongoing conflict. The civilian experience in Khan Younis illustrates the complex nature of urban warfare in densely populated areas. The intermingling of militant positions and residential zones has forced military planners to prioritize precision strikes, aiming to minimize civilian casualties while targeting high-value military assets. For the residents of Khan Younis, however, the reality remains one of uncertainty and disruption, as they navigate a daily existence shaped by the presence of conflict. This situation underscores the dual challenge faced by military forces and humanitarian organizations, achieving strategic objectives while ensuring the protection of innocent civilians. The broader international community has responded to the humanitarian crisis with both concern and intervention. Diplomatic channels and aid agencies are working to coordinate efforts that can alleviate the suffering of civilians while maintaining the safety of aid workers. Media coverage has drawn global attention to the plight of Khan Younis residents, highlighting the human dimension of the conflict and emphasizing the importance of humanitarian principles in times of warfare. For U.S. audiences, these developments provide a window into the real-life consequences of targeted military operations and the ethical considerations that accompany modern urban conflicts. Education and child welfare have been significantly disrupted. Schools have been closed or repurposed as temporary shelters, preventing children from accessing formal education. Psychosocial support programs are being established to help children cope with trauma, but limited resources and ongoing conflict complicate these efforts. Families are often forced to make difficult decisions about where to seek safety, balancing immediate protection against the risks of displacement and exposure to further violence. Access to basic utilities, such as electricity and clean water, has been severely affected. Infrastructure damage from airstrikes and ongoing military operations has led to intermittent power supply and disrupted water distribution systems. These disruptions not only impact daily life but also hinder the operation of medical facilities, refrigeration of food and vaccines, and communication systems critical for both civilian and military coordination. Humanitarian organizations continue to coordinate with local authorities to restore essential services wherever feasible, yet the scale of destruction presents a persistent challenge. Psychologically, the civilian population in Khan Younis faces immense stress and trauma. The uncertainty of survival, combined with the constant threat of airstrikes and the loss of family members or homes, contributes to widespread mental health issues. Counseling and support programs, though limited, are being provided to help residents cope with the emotional toll of the conflict. International aid agencies emphasize the need for long-term mental health support in addition to immediate physical assistance. In conclusion, the humanitarian situation in Khan Younis reflects the complex intersection of military strategy and civilian life in urban conflict zones. Thousands of residents face displacement, limited access to essential services, and psychological trauma, while humanitarian organizations and local communities strive to mitigate the impact. The ongoing airstrikes highlight the delicate balance between achieving military objectives and protecting civilian populations, a challenge that resonates with international observers and U.S. audiences seeking to understand the human dimension of modern warfare. The situation underscores the importance of humanitarian coordination, rapid response, and international engagement to support those caught in the midst of conflict, offering a critical perspective on the human cost of urban military operations. Israel's ongoing operations in Khan Younis and across Gaza are part of a broader, long-term strategic plan aimed at neutralizing Hamas's military capabilities while maintaining operational precision and minimizing civilian casualties. This planning, often referred to within military circles as Operation Gideon's Chariots, reflects a carefully calibrated approach in which intelligence, precision airstrikes, and targeted ground operations are combined to achieve strategic objectives. By focusing on high-value targets such as senior Hamas leaders, command centers, and tunnel networks, Israel seeks to weaken the operational efficiency of Hamas and disrupt its ability to plan, coordinate, and execute attacks both locally and regionally. One significant aspect of Israel's future planning involves the sustained degradation of Hamas's command and control infrastructure. The elimination of key figures, including Nasser Musa, demonstrates the effectiveness of targeted intelligence operations. By removing leaders who oversee strategic planning and military coordination, Israel reduces the likelihood of organized retaliation and diminishes the group's ability to maintain control over its various units. This decapitation strategy is coupled with continued monitoring and surveillance to prevent Hamas from quickly replacing its leadership or restoring disrupted networks. The approach highlights Israel's reliance on precision, intelligence, and real-time data to guide its military decisions in a highly complex urban environment. Israel's future planning also accounts for the broader operational environment in Gaza, which is shaped by population density, infrastructure challenges, and the presence of underground tunnel systems. These tunnels, used for smuggling, storing weapons, and facilitating rapid movement of militants, are a central target of Israeli operations. By systematically identifying and destroying tunnel networks, Israel not only limits Hamas's operational flexibility but also safeguards Israeli civilians from cross-border attacks. This methodical degradation of tactical resources is intended to impose long-term strategic constraints on Hamas, forcing the organization to invest time and resources in rebuilding, while simultaneously reducing its capacity for future aggression. The international response to Israel's actions has been a mixture of support, concern, and diplomatic scrutiny. Many countries recognize Israel's right to self-defense, particularly in response to ongoing threats from Hamas. However, there are persistent calls from global organizations and humanitarian agencies to ensure civilian protection. The United Nations, European Union, and various NGOs have urged Israel to maintain strict adherence to international humanitarian law while conducting military operations. These international reactions influence Israel's strategic calculus, emphasizing the need to balance military effectiveness with global perception and diplomatic considerations. From a U.S. perspective, Israel's planning and operations are closely monitored due to long-standing geopolitical alliances and shared security interests in the region. American policymakers and analysts often evaluate the effectiveness of targeted strikes, the impact on Hamas's operational capabilities, and the humanitarian consequences for civilians in Gaza. The U.S. government typically provides intelligence support, military coordination advice, and logistical resources in such contexts, which further reinforces Israel's ability to conduct precise and effective operations. For American audiences, understanding these dynamics clarifies why Israel continues to pursue high-value, intelligence-led strikes rather than broad, indiscriminate military campaigns. Israel's long-term strategy also involves preparing for potential escalations in neighboring regions. By systematically weakening Hamas's operational infrastructure in Gaza, Israel aims to deter broader regional conflicts and signal its capability to respond decisively to threats. This approach serves both a defensive and strategic messaging purpose. It communicates to Hamas, other militant groups, and regional actors that Israel has the operational capacity, technological sophistication, and intelligence resources to neutralize threats swiftly and accurately. The careful orchestration of airstrikes, intelligence operations, and ground interventions reflects a holistic understanding of modern conflict, in which rapid response, strategic foresight, and operational precision are essential. The humanitarian dimension remains central to Israel's strategic planning. Acknowledging the dense civilian population in Khan Younis, Israel has increasingly relied on precision strikes, early warnings, and communication strategies designed to minimize unintended harm. Temporary evacuations, warnings, and limited-scale operations are integrated into the planning process to uphold ethical standards and international law. By balancing military objectives with humanitarian considerations, Israel seeks to achieve tactical success without generating significant international condemnation, thereby maintaining legitimacy in both domestic and global spheres. The global response to Israel's operations is also influenced by media coverage, which highlights both the effectiveness of military strategies and the human impact of ongoing conflict. Satellite imagery, drone footage, and independent reporting provide transparency and allow international observers to assess the proportionality and precision of operations. This attention encourages Israel to continue refining its strategies, ensuring that military objectives are met while minimizing civilian casualties, infrastructure damage, and humanitarian crises. Looking ahead, Israel's planning emphasizes sustainability and adaptability. Operations are not designed for short-term gains alone. They aim to impose lasting constraints on Hamas's military capabilities, disrupt its strategic planning, and create an environment in which organized militant activities are increasingly difficult to maintain. Continuous intelligence gathering, technology deployment, and tactical innovation ensure that Israel remains ahead of evolving threats, adjusting its strategies in real time to meet emerging challenges. In conclusion, Israel's future planning and the global response to its actions reveal a complex interplay of military precision, strategic foresight, and humanitarian considerations. By targeting high-value Hamas leaders and infrastructure, Israel seeks to weaken operational capabilities while maintaining ethical standards and minimizing civilian impact. The international community, including U.S. policymakers and analysts, closely observes these developments, balancing support for Israel's right to self-defense with calls for humanitarian protection. Ultimately, Israel's operations in Khan Younis exemplify modern urban warfare, where intelligence, precision, and strategic planning converge to achieve long-term security objectives while navigating the ethical and diplomatic dimensions of armed conflict. This approach underscores the importance of foresight, accountability, and global awareness in shaping military actions in densely populated conflict zones, offering a clear perspective for international audiences seeking to understand the evolving dynamics in Gaza.